Hello, kindergarten class. I'm glad you can join me for our Bible story today. When we hear good news, we like to share it with others, don't we? Maybe your mom and dad or your friends. In our Bible story today, we learn about how Jesus calls us to be his friends, and that's some of the best news ever. One day, long, long ago, Jesus was telling his stories. Jesus was the best storyteller. Everybody loved to come and listen to his stories. That day, Andrew, a fisherman, was also listening to Jesus. Fishermen like Andrew used big, heavy nets. They were like big sheets with lots of small holes cut in them so the water could pass through the holes, but the fish couldn't. The fish would be caught in the net. Well, Andrew was listening to Jesus tell stories, and he heard some really, really good news. It was the good news that Jesus loves you. Andrew was so excited, he hurried to tell his brother Peter. Peter was excited too. A few days later, early in the morning, Jesus saw Peter and Andrew and their friends, James and John, down by the shore, mending their fishing nets. They had been out all night fishing, but they hadn't caught a single fish. Now they were washing and mending their nets so they could use them another night. Andrew and Peter were very tired because they'd been awake all night fishing, but they were happy to listen to Jesus. Jesus even got into their boat so the people could hear him better. After a while, Jesus asked Andrew and Peter to do something really strange. He asked them to go back out in their boats to catch some fish. But fishermen always fished at night. Nobody fished with nets in the daytime. But Peter and his brother Andrew got back into their boat because Jesus asked them to. They rowed away from shore, and they let down their heavy nets. Can you guess what happened? Peter and Andrew couldn't believe it. There was so many fish in their net that they couldn't even lift it out of the water. It was so heavy. They had to ask their friends in the next boat, James and John, to come and help them pull the nets out of the water. Finally, the nets and all the fish were into the two boats, and they rowed back to shore. Jesus had something special to tell Andrew and Peter and James and John when they got back to shore. He said to them, "Follow me, and I will make you fishers of men." Jesus didn't mean that they would use nets to catch people when they were swimming. He meant that he wanted them to be his special helpers. He wanted Andrew and Peter, James and John to help him tell people about Jesus and his love for them. Jesus had 12 special friends and helpers called the disciples, and Jesus wants us to be his helpers. We can be Jesus' helpers too, by being loving and helping others, and we can tell them about how much Jesus wants to be their friend. And that's what our memory verse is about this week. It says, "You are my friends." John 15:14. I hope you have a wonderful Sabbath.